All right, everyone. Welcome. Happy Friday, everyone. If you're at home right tonight feeling overwhelmed by credit card bills, well, you're not alone. Millions of Americans are struggling under interest rates that have gotten out of control. Iconic Debt Relief is helping people lower their monthly payments and finally breathe again. They'll explain your options clearly, walk you through every step by step, in fact, and help you move towards a fresh financial start. If you've gotten $10,000 or more in credit card debt, now is the moment to act. Call Iconic Debt Relief right now. All right, my first guest, an award-winning journalist and senior investigative reporter for the Epoch Times. He is also the host of Crossroads on Epoch. I think it's Epoch. You know, it could be Epic. I'm not even sure he'll absolutely explain this for me. His new documentary takes a look at how a young leader charted the way forward for the next generation. In Truth Under Fire, the framing of Charlie Kirk. Happy to have Joshua Philipp join us. Thank you for being here, Mr. Joshua. First of all, let's get this straight. Is it Epic Times or Epoch Times? I've always said Epoch. I could be wrong, though.
All right, simple answer is it's both. Epoch is the Queen's English, so like British Canadian. Epic is the technical American pronunciation, but we actually confuse everybody by just saying both. So,
all right, cool. Well, let's get right to it. This is Charlie Kirk. I guess you'd call it a documentary or so. When Trish, our executive producer, came and said, "You want to do this?" I said, "Absolutely." Not only do I want to do it, I want to do it big because I don't think the world is. I mean, I know people outside, but I don't think the conservative movement is talking enough about Charlie Kirk and what they've done to him. Let's take a look at a little piece of your film.
Charlie is a massive political and cultural threat to that ideology. So you got to kill him, and that's the way these people think. It's monstrous.
Charlie Kirk was presented as an anti-Semite, as a purveyor of misinformation, as being someone on what they call the hard right.
He's been slandered and lied about by people on the left.
Charlie Kirk was shot down on a college campus, not with a weapon in his hand, but with a microphone.
What kind of threats did Charlie face, and did he ever confide in you about these?
He would say, you know, this is a dark time spiritually, pray for me. He'd ask for that.
How was Charlie Kirk framed by the narrative system?
He was always such a generous man. I really appreciated how bold Charlie Kirk is.
He gave me the ability to speak out.
Charlie was gracious. He was a Boy Scout. He was the best of us. That's the one you shot? That's the one you decided to kill?
How do you think his faith impacted his political ideas?
I always say he was the most misunderstood missionary in America because he saw politics as an on-ramp to Jesus. But fear never enveloped him. If there was a heavy spiritual moment, he would ask people to pray. He was the most honest man I've ever met in my entire life.
They want their nation and they're willing to fight for it.
And I think that's what happened with Charlie.
All right, Josh, we got so many questions for you. In fact, we talked about we want to keep you so we can answer a lot of these. Let me just start with, of all the people that whoever these nefarious forces are, and we'll get to who they are in just a second, but of all the people, why Charlie Kirk? I mean, I think I have an idea, but you tell us what you think.
I think the reason Charlie Kirk was killed is because Charlie Kirk was becoming probably the most powerful political figure in the United States. I mean, honestly, in his death, as terrible as it was, I think Turning Point USA has become probably the most powerful political organization in the United States. And there are some people who don't want that. There's some people who find that terrifying. The attacks on Charlie really started way back in 2017 when he was starting up this whole thing and the youth movement. But they went into overdrive after the 2024 elections when it was found that Charlie probably got a lot of the young voters out. And I think that's why some people wanted him dead. He became too politically powerful. And on the narrative front, he was winning the battle. He was winning the debates.
I would frame it this way. Correct me if I'm wrong. So we've arrived in 2025, 2026 in a place that's almost unrecognizable. Young people, they've been indoctrinated. They've been taught. They've been just from high school all the way through the college in higher levels of education. They've been indoctrinated with a very progressive, liberal dose of what life is supposed to be. It feels to me like as amazing as this is, with tens of thousands of institutions in this country teaching our young people, it was Charlie Kirk against the literal mass of institutions, high school, colleges, upper level of education. So Charlie Kirk versus big academia. And it was a fight they were worried about losing.
And they were losing it. Charlie, he'd go into campuses and he'd say, okay, who disagrees with me most? I want to even talk to the professors. Bring out your college professors and make your college professors debate me. Like, who is willing to do that? And Charlie did it, and he did. I mean, he was extremely good at it. I think the problem you have these you mentioned at these universities, they're echo chambers. They're echo chambers that do not tolerate any kind of opposing viewpoints. You can't question them. A lot of the college kids and high school kids, they don't have the background or the knowledge base to challenge it. They don't understand the nuances and the real technical narratives they use to frame the attacks. They don't know how to fight back against it. Charlie was teaching them how to fight back. Charlie was teaching them how to challenge these narratives. Charlie was teaching them and just making fools of some of these college professors. He was arming the youth with the power to fight back ideologically, through the marketplace of ideas, just engaging and debating. And that alone was changing the youth of the United States.
I think, and again, feel free to call me crazy, but I think when he was assassinated in the manner in which, in the public execution of Charlie Kirk, I think it did more to unravel the progressive movement in our schools than Charlie, even as successful as he was. I think because it was so obvious and so blatant and so in your face and so horrific that they didn't, careful what you wish for. It's one of those, they're finding out now, they FO'd and they're FAing right now what they didn't probably expect to see young people all of a sudden saying, I am Charlie Kirk. It's an amazing movement. Can we just touch into, you're doing your investigation, you're doing your work, your homework. Do you have any idea who perpetrated this on Charlie?
I'm still, I know there's a lot of debate right now, especially in the conservative movement. I'm still kind of on the side of thinking it was the guy dating the trans dude who was just mad Charlie was talking about trans, denigrating the trans narrative. I still believe that's the case. I do think, and this is kind of why I wanted to make this documentary too. Like, I'm not trying to tell people, okay, fine, don't look into this. I think you should. I think we should all investigate it. I think, frankly, I hope the truth comes out if this wasn't the case. But I think what really matters is Charlie's legacy. And that's why I wanted to make this documentary. Mm-hmm. I want to focus on what Charlie Kirk represents.
I do get that, and it's amazing. And we have people all the time coming up, just talking to us because I was a current, I was an actual advisory board member of Turning Point USA, knew Charlie for a long time, and currently on one of their honorary boards. Whatever, the point is people are still very interested to find out what kind of guy Charlie was. My concern when you say it was the guy who's dating the trans boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever the heck it was. Again, Joshua, I'll go back to these two incidences where immediately upon that bullet, eliminating Charlie Kirk's life, a guy, 65, 70-year-old, whatever, stands up and says, I did it, gets all the attention, gets cops to run over there, everyone thinks it's him, shooter gets away, and then the lunatic up front, right in front of Charlie's booth, jumps up, leans in front, and waves. This is just against human nature. When there's a shot fired or there's something, human nature says duck and cover. He jumps up, makes himself a huge target. That felt coordinated to me, not you?
That did feel coordinated to me. And I do, from what I understand, the individual who did that, who said, I basically tried to basically distract the police so the shooter could get away. I mean, we'll see what happens. My understanding is they arrested the guy under that, and they found, I believe he's being charged now with child pornography or something like that. I know he's facing some other charge.
I'm old enough to remember that conspiracy theories usually end up not being conspiracy nor theory. Here's my point. Yeah. That text exchange between, I don't want to say his name, the shooter, the murderer, the assassin, and his boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. It just reads like a roadmap right back to the shooter, meaning if it was a conspiracy, if there were other people involved, and this kid had already decided he was going to take the hit for it, they were going to make sure no one else got caught being part of the conspiracy. It just read like,
I
what was your motive? How long you been thinking about it? Oh, what did you do? Where's the gun? They literally went step by step of how he assassinated Charlie Kirk and what he was doing leading up to it, which is the motivation, the premeditation part, which would put him away for life, right? So it just feels like there's a lot more than just a shooter and his boyfriend.
I do think that should be looked into. And I did find the text messages very strange. I fully agree with you on that, because it did read like he was intentionally trying to explain the story in a way that would write off blame for other people. And I don't think that was normal behavior, actually.
So we have abnormal behavior in the text. We have abnormal behavior with a guy who says, it was me. Turns out he may or may not be a lunatic. He may have just said, I'm a child predator or whatever. Guy jumps up. So there's too many moving parts for me to just say, I'm not buying it. I really, really, really want to dig into the theory that are some of the right-leaning conservative voices. We'll talk about Candace. We'll talk about Ben Shapiro. We'll talk about Tucker Carlson, who spoke at the funeral. I was there in Phoenix, and it scratched my head a little bit with some of the things that Tucker Carlson was saying at the memorial service for Charlie Kirk. Can you stick around? Will you stick around for after the break? Because there's so much more. Because I really want to get into this idea that Candace Owens originally said it was Israel, and she had so much proof that it was Israel, and she flipped and says the U.S. government, and now I think she's actually trying to implicate TPUSA in some way. I'm just getting confused. Ben Shapiro's out there, who's obviously Jewish, says stop blaming the Jewish people for this. They had nothing to do with it. We can get into that moment before Charlie's assassinated where Bibi Netanyahu, maybe the whole Israeli crew, decided that Charlie was moving away from supporting Israel in the war with Gaza, with Hamas. And then Tucker and Megan, who are playing around the fringes here a little bit. I just want to get into it because I think we really, really have to get our story straight on this side so we know who the perps are and who the perps aren't. Josh, you'll stick around?
Yeah, of course.
Perfect. All right, folks, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for subscribing to The Edge. You are killing it. We are killing it 125 times faster than all new YouTube shows. The Edge, we're tipping into some of the most important things that men were allowed to be masculine again. What we're doing, we get knocked down 7 times. What makes us get up the 8th time? It's so important. I had Patrick Bet-David on this week. Monster guest. Here's a little bite of that.
I'm going to make mistakes. I'm not trying to walk on, water. I'm not trying to be perfect. But there's an element of constantly trying to, overcome the next space you're going into that you're underestimated. And that kind of keeps you alive. That kind of keeps you on the edge.
He goes into his whole upbringing. He was a Christian in Iran, came over here, got in fights, worked at Burger King, worked in gyms, bodybuilder. It's an incredible life story. Now runs a $200 million Valuetainment enterprise. Incredible. Hit that subscribe here. Just hit that QR code with your camera. Press the button, subscribe. You don't want to miss this one. We got a bunch of good ones coming up as well. Or just go to YouTube and just search Eric Bolling, The Edge. Make sure you get The Edge, Eric Bolling in there. Subscribe. It means the world to us. It pushes us up to the YouTube channel so that more people can join us. You'll be of the first. This is a platform. This is a movement. And I thank you for all your support. We'll be back 2.5 minutes.